The month March is around the corner, and it seemed interesting to me to take a look at how the altcoin market usually moves in the month March, what the average is, and also what the average is for the post-halving year. Keep in mind, these are statistics and averages, not guarantees. Okay, so if you say that it's not going to happen, congratulations, you're probably right. Nevertheless, let's see how it usually does during this phase of the market. So what I did, I marked off the last 8 February. So from the 2017 cycle until now. And we put this on the others chart for the people newer to the channel. Others, like the video, others is everything outside of the top 10 within the top 125, right? Coin market cap, TradingView doesn't track anything outside of the top 125. But this is a good average for the altcoin market. So let's see what we can expect on average. Now, first, let's get into the past numbers. So in March 2017, the altcoin market gained 180%, 118%. Good morning. By the way, welcome. Hi. In 2018, minus 49, 32, 23, 53, 15, minus 2, and 34. Now, what you should keep in mind, though, is that, of course, we have one huge loser during this whole phase, right? And that brings the average down quite a lot. Now, you have to realize that this was during a bear market year, right? 2018. However, we also have a bear market year in 2022, and there it's still went up with 15%. So overall, it is a pretty decent average what we're getting at. So let's take a look at the numbers of what the average is. So the average gain with all these months is 18.5%. The target for that would be $333 billion, right? So that's around here, give or take. It's not new all-time highs for the altcoin market. It's not new cycle highs for the altcoin market. We have to, we don't have to get that in one single month, of course. Do keep in mind, though, little disclaimer, it's still relative early in February, and these targets are, of course, only relevant if hypothetically the altcoin market closes at this point, and that's highly unlikely, of course. But with this current hypothetical closure, then the altcoin market will gain on average about 18.5%. Now, there's a win rate. 6 out of 8 were positive, that's 75%. So on average, there is a 75% chance that we close positively. And again, then the average is around 18.5%. But that includes halving years, that includes bear market years, pre-halving years. That's all fine. And therefore, it's a nice average. But let's also take a look at the average for the post-halving years, because that's more specifically when it comes to the stage of the market where we are in right now, right? You cannot compare an altcoin or Bitcoin or whatever in 2021 and in 2022. These are completely different stages of the market. That's where it gets pretty interesting. Right, because you can see right here in 2017, it was a gain of 118%. And then we had the bull market in 2021, which was a gain of 53%. And if we take the average of that, that's 85.5%. And that would put the average target at 520 billion. Now, 520 billion is not only a new cycle high, but it's also a new all-time high. So that's pretty interesting, actually. Now, what's actually pretty cool, that if you look at this white line right here, where it started in 2018, found support right here when we were in the bull market in 2021. We had resistance in this mid-cycle rally, and we found another high piece of resistance in this mid-cycle rally once again. If we get there in March, 520 billion, that kind of puts it around this line right here, right? Maybe a little higher, but around that line right there. So it's not that weird, actually, because we are in a high structure, high highs and high lows. So that the market gets there next month, it would not be that weird, actually. And of course, so far, this has a win rate of 2 out of 2, just to 100%. Again, the disclaimer for the slower people is this a guarantee that this is gonna, go up with 100% guaranteed? No, that's not how it works. We can have a red March, of course, right? Like we have multiples of those. So that's what I'm looking at for March. Now, again, I am not trading this necessarily. I am not putting this out as a prediction. I'm putting this out as an average, right? Do with it whatever you want. My best advice is do absolutely nothing with it and just sit on your backs and feel like, okay, yeah, maybe it could do something like that and then you will be fine, right? Let's take a look at the rest of the crypto market for now because things are looking a little bit better at this moment right now. Bitcoin is now at $99,200 at the moment of recording. So it has some positive price action right here. We are at some resistance, right? The range that we are in also has a mid-range, and the mid-range comes in at around 99/100K, right? So don't be surprised if we are getting a rejection right here, right? I mean, here we fell from the all-time high all the way down to 92,000, and we were all the way back to 100,000. Psychological level, people thought like, it's going to be a great run right now. And then it actually went down again, right? This is a bigger part of the range. Look how much time Bitcoin is spending at the lower side and how a little time it is spending at the top side of it, right? So don't get too excited about Bitcoin just yet. What is really interesting now, though, is that we see that Bitcoin is going up in the last couple of days, last 3 days, basically. If we take a look at the Bitcoin dominance is, it's pretty much sideways, actually, but it's more down than up, right? 2 out of the 3 candles are red. So that's a pretty good sign for the altcoin market. Now, again, if we look at the altcoin market itself, did it do much? Right? Nah, I mean, it went up in a total over the last couple of days with 11%, right? It's not much. But that should give you a little perspective on how hard it can actually go because Bitcoin is, it's ranging. It's not breaking out, not making new all-time highs, nothing. So, the big move didn't really come from Bitcoin. But if you look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's also not really that this is going down really hard, right? So therefore, I feel like, man, Bitcoin not going up hard, Bitcoin dominance not going down hard, but still the altcoin market had a pretty decent gain of around 11%. So let alone if Bitcoin actually continues its run and that the Bitcoin dominance someday reverses, right? Yeah, that would be pretty crazy for the altcoin market, of course. Now, we talked about the fact that the Fed kind of announced that QT is going to stop mid-2025. Like, when is that going to be? We don't know. We can only speculate. But the fact that QT will likely stop is the narrative that backs this move up, basically, right? Because what we have seen so far, for the people that may have missed that video, what we have seen so far when it comes to alt season, right? If we want to talk about alt season real quick, what we so far have seen is basically we are actually always in an alt season, right? Unless we have QT, right? That's what you can see right here. We were in an alt season, right? Yeah, sideways at least, okay, fair enough, but not going down, right? So we were always not in an alt season, basically, to frame it like that. But you can see alt season. And then when QT started right here, that's why alt season coincidentally stopped, right? Again, right here, we even had QE, right? And alt season. And here, when it turned around, alt season stopped. It's interesting, right? So now we have more confirmation that this is at least not going to go down anymore, this line, but sideways. That's basically how I can put it. And that means that they're not going to cut on the balance sheet anymore. And based on this, so far, it has always correlated with an alt season. But this is just data from the last 10 years. I know it's something. It's decent, but it's not. Again, also not guaranteed. but a very high chance, right? Even again, if we do not see an alt season like we saw the last two cycles, because let's admit it, even alt season is diminishing, right? You have to expect or manage your expectations a little bit. Here from the bottom, basically, altcoins went up about 50 to 100% against Bitcoin. And here from the absolute lows, altcoins went up on an average of around 670% against Bitcoin, right? So, of course, this is diminishing and that's normal. But like I said earlier as well, that's completely fine because they outperform a Bitcoin here, which is way more expensive and which has way more higher market cap than here, right? So at the end of the day, money-wise for your altcoin, that kind of compensates, right? So even if we this time just start to outperform, let's take it from the bottom. Even if we this time start to outperform Bitcoin with like an extremely diminishing 130%, to just put out a random number, right? 130%. That's a lot less. Then still, that's quite some money, right? That's, as you can see right there, 28% of Bitcoin's market cap. Now, Bitcoin at the moment is sitting at a $2 trillion market cap. And I say at the moment because, again, Bitcoin is in a bull market and will likely be higher. But let's be a little weird, or I don't know, and say that, hey, in this full post-halving year, Bitcoin is not going up anymore, right? Manage your expectations a little bit, can only get better. So let's say Bitcoin stays at a $2 trillion market cap, maybe slightly higher if it goes a bit above 100K. Then if we, get towards, let's say 30%, right? 30%, which is, again, extremely diminishing. 30% of a $2 trillion market cap is a $600 billion market cap. So again, that's not really an alt season, right? It's more of a decent move, right? But not heavy outperforming or anything. Yeah, then we'll put it at the target, actually, that's slightly higher than we gave for March, right? At 500-600 billion it would be, give or take. But again, that's worst case scenario, right? Because then again, we keep in consideration like, okay, Bitcoin is not going up anymore from here, and altcoins are gonna like not even be in an alt season, but just perform well for a bit. These are two very unlikely and bearish scenarios. And if you combine those two, still you get a target of new all-time highs, right? So I would say if you are bearish on the crypto market, it's not too late to change that. But it's not smart. If you are bullish on the crypto market, yes, I mean, that's what you should be, right? Like, we are at the bottom. If you look at altcoins again on their Bitcoin pair, it is sitting at the lows of the cycle. So it is only wise to, here say, hey, let's buy. And when it's up, say, sell, right? I do get it a little from people. They say, nah, I'm gonna sell here, right? Like, yeah, okay, whatever, you can do that, but that's not the way to make money. Now, the rest of the market actually looks pretty fine, right? If you look at Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair as well, to cover a couple things, Ethereum is pretty much correlated with altcoins, right? The most utility altcoins are running on Ethereum, and they go kind of hand in hand. Now, if you look at Ethereum, this kind of backs it all up, right? Because if it's not that Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair is sitting at an all-time high or at the highs or whatever, that makes it contradictive. It's more that, hey, Ethereum just bounced from this huge support area right here, plus this diagonal that you can draw back to 2015, right? And it happened to be right there that it bounced. And again, that backs up everything that we kind of just discussed about alt season, because if Ethereum does well on its Bitcoin pair, overall, the altcoin market does well on its Bitcoin pair as well, right? You can overlay the rest of the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair and see that these things are kind of similar, right? They are pretty much the same, actually, right? So Ethereum, if you don't believe in the whole alt season or altcoins will at least do well story, then I would say, then take a look at this chart, right? That should be more than enough to understand what's going on right here. Now, Ethereum on its dollar pair is also pretty fine, actually. Right? If you look at this, Ethereum has been underperforming, yeah, but it's not that Ethereum on its dollar pair is in a bear market, right? It's a slow gainer so far, but I mean it's still in a bull market. You could have bought the lowest risk altcoin at the lows of this bear market, and you would have made a 3x, right? Yeah, for the people who felt like Bitcoin is boring, yeah, it wasn't the best move to make, but still 3x. It's better than YOLOing into the favorite in your favorite shitcoins at the highs and losing your money, right? If you could have just bought Ethereum, basically. But as you can see right here, this trend line that it's climbing up, it's holding up perfectly. Every single time it hits this trend line, it goes up. And at this trend line, it's funny because this was the moment where the shorts for Ethereum were at the highs, right? Like the biggest amount of money in Ethereum is being shorted right now. Yeah, some are already liquidated, right? And that puts up the price of Ethereum even more. And if they get liquidated, it will become one big liquidation event. And that could put Ethereum really high. And again, that's another narrative that I think is interesting to consider that backs it all up, why altcoins could have a pretty bullish March. Couple other charts to take a look at to wrap it up. The dollar weakening, right? That's what Trump wanted to do. And so far he's doing it. A weaker dollar means mooning altcoins, basically, right? It has a delayed effect, and that's fine. But what you can see already is that it's weakening. We have some support right here. If this breaks, then the party is on. In the meantime, we can bounce here, right? We don't have to break it right away. That's not like what really matters, in my opinion. A couple other charts that I think are really cool to take a look at is that we take a look at altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, right? So what you can start with is say, hey, let's take a look at the total tree divided by Bitcoin. And then you can still be bearish on altcoins. And this is where I think people can go wrong. If you look at this chart, you might be like, it has a long way to go down. First off, this chart is a logarithmic scale. If you put it on a regular, you have a more realistic view because this lower green bar is not zero, right? This goes from 1 to 0 basically. But the major support for altcoins is sitting at 28, give or take. We're now at 47. Okay, so still you could say altcoins can go down another 40% against Bitcoin. Not really, because this chart includes USDT as well. And we know that if your altcoins drop and USDT doesn't drop, right, which it doesn't, of course, this chart keeps stays a little more elevated than your altcoins actually are, right? So altcoins are actually lower than this chart shows. And so you can take a look at this chart without USDT, and then it goes from 47, right? The target is 28, right? 27, 28. If you include USDT to this, then then it's already sitting at 39. Right? And I think it's important to take a look at the charts that matter for you, right? There's not one chart that you can take a look at like, oh, this thing has the answers, right? Because if you are an investor and you don't invest in high caps like Solana or whatever, and you don't invest in Ethereum or in USDT or whatever, right? Then you can also take a look at this same chart again. For example, you exclude Solana from it, right? Why? Well, Solana was really an outperformer, and Solana is included in this chart, right? But yeah, if Solana outperforms, yeah, that doesn't mean shit to your altcoins. So how do your altcoins actually look, right? That's the important thing. And then we can, for example, take a look at this chart, but we exclude Solana. Wrong chart. Here we go. This is already sitting at 35, right? So it's more like, yeah, there are charts showing that the bottom, well, at least that the support level hasn't been hit yet. Then again, it could be that Solana is just now going to drop, right? And that money flows into other altcoins. Yeah, and then that chart goes down, right? That chart goes down, but your altcoins maybe not, and they may even go up. So it's really interesting to take a look at these things. And in the FOMO or in the Alpha Factory, there's a link down below. We also have a full trading view course, how to look at this, how to add these charts, what charts I'm looking at, how to draw the trend lines, support, resistance, etc., the conclusions. Because I think it's now really important, because what we notice is that too many people are now getting over emotional and they're trading that, right? They don't look at charts. They don't know what the fuck this means, right? They just feel like, my altcoin down, it's bad, I'm gonna sell, right? Like, yeah, but if you don't have an idea of like, where's the big support sitting? Why is it sitting there? Does the macro lines up with it, right? If you don't know about any of that, yeah, then you're gonna trade on based on the wrong things, in my opinion. Yeah, another thing that is also pretty cool actually is the others dominance. So everything outside of the top 10 and how much that dominates compared to the overall crypto market. So compared to, you know, stables and Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, that kind of shit. You can see that others now dominate with 8.7%. Right, that's relative low compared to where we came from. You see that the others dominance overall, the top 125 altcoins are just steadily getting stronger over time. Right, since 2014, it's basically been in one big uptrend. Right. And of course, you peak out like a normal bull market and then go in a bear market and sideways for a long time. And we just did that as well. But you see that it's overall in an uptrend. And if you now look like, yeah, I don't know, man. If you see like how far we are from the high, look, there is never a guarantee that the trend will continue forever, and it won't. Otherwise, this eventually will hit 100%, and altcoins cannot dominate 100%. Although that would mean that there is no money more in Bitcoin, right? So it won't be in an uptrend forever. However, it might also be a little unwise to think like we stay in bear market territory for the rest of our lives, right? Like that's not how it works. Although it feels like that in bear markets, but that's actually not how it goes. So there's a lot of room to go up. And if you take a look at this green box and this green box, you can basically see, and let me remove this one real quick. Yeah, for now, you can see that most of the time we are actually ranging between these levels, right? And in a real bear market, we have deviations below it. And in a real bull market, we have deviations above it. But in a neutral market, basically something after the bear market or / begin the bull market, right? We are always kind of in the middle, right? And that's exactly where we are right now, but more to the lower side of it. So this just means if you're here, buy. If you are here, sell. Simple, right? Not everything maybe, because, hey, bull markets have a way of shooting up. But yeah, also this means like, hey, we are sitting at a very fucking fantastic level right now, actually. Plus, yeah, you see what I've drawn. Like we have a bottom here in June 2023. And with the last, I don't want to say it, well, kind of a pretty hard dump that we got in the altcoin market where the Bitcoin dominance shut up that hard. It happened to be that it exactly went to this level again, right? This double bottom was created right there, right? And again, if you compare multiple charts to each other, then it starts to make sense, right? And then I think you can maybe understand like what's actually going on, because you can see stuff on these kind of things, right? This doesn't exist for no reason. Because exactly this support right here, this double bottom, happened exactly when Ethereum made this bottom right here, right? Exactly this right here. Now, what's also really interesting, if you take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, that also shows something. but Bitcoin dominance without stables, because I don't care how like the Bitcoin dominance, I don't care how Bitcoin is doing compared to altcoins plus stable coins, right? I want to see how Bitcoin is doing compared to altcoins. That's what matters. I don't invest in stable coins. So if we take a look at that chart, you can see that wick happened exactly that brought the Bitcoin dominance exactly to the 786. Right now, you cannot make this up, man. You cannot make this up. It's not that I'm drawing this and searching for things, but you just look at it and it's just there, right? So it's not a guarantee that everything has bottomed out. Like anything could always happen in crypto. But if you use a little brain capacity, you know what to bet on, right? Being bullish or being bearish. If you cannot be bearish at these times in crypto, it's simply screaming on the wall everywhere, like fucking low, and cycle, everything points out that it will be higher, right? Yeah, and the question is when exactly and how much higher. Let me tell you this. I can tell you in a year, probably, right? And I think everybody can, but nobody else can do that before that, right? We can only guess. But now overall, it's looking really fantastic out there. And I'm not saying this because I feel like this is what people want to hear. I feel actually that most people don't want to hear this right now. But I really want to tell you this because this is honestly what I'm seeing. And this is how I'm positioning in the market now as well. And probably when a lot of people are over euphoric in the market because they haven't witnessed an alt season yet, maybe, and you don't know what the fuck is happening then, man. That's absolutely crazy. And when we are there, if we are there, right, you won't be thinking about selling. Yeah, and that's where I will flip, of course, right? That's where you should flip. That's where you should feel like, man, everything is going up. It's making me so much money. It's ridiculous, right? Like, then sell, right? And that's the opposite of this. Oh, everything is going down. It's ridiculous, right? That's buying. Yeah, if you don't have this under control, then you're going to fuck the opposite up as well, right? Like, plus you have nothing to sell then. So my biggest advice that I can give you is study this a little bit and come to the conclusion that things are looking way more on the bull side than on the bear side right now, right? And that's how you want to place your bets. Again, never a guarantee, but if you have a 90% of winning with that horse and a 10% on that horse, which horse are you going to bet on, right? Like, that's exactly what this is. So I want to wrap it up right here. All looking really good, and I'm very curious to see what March is going to bring us and if it's going to play out a little bit like the averages or maybe completely off. We'll find out, man. For now, thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and when will I be back? I don't know. Bye.